With revised legislation unveiled by Senate Republicans, this page has been updated to reflect the differences between the House and Senate attempts to roll back the Affordable Care Act. These updates do not include a Congressional Budget Office analysis of the revised bill. The latest CBO report focused on a repeal-only Senate plan. A previous version of this comparison erroneously included the repeal-only report. Key changes in the revised Senate plan: the revised version of the Better Care Reconciliation Act (BCRA) maintains much of its original structure and intent. Like the House legislation, the Senate Republican bill introduced in June will produce major losses in insurance coverage that will mostly affect low and moderate-income Americans, according to the CBO's analysis of the bills. The centerpiece of the Senate bill is a series of major reductions in federal aid for poor Americans who rely on Medicaid and for consumers who currently qualify for federal subsidies to help them buy private health insurance through the Obamacare marketplace. The CBO estimated that under the House bill, 23 million fewer people would have insurance over the next decade. The estimate is 22 million for the previous Senate version. 051015 20% uninsured 2026 2020 2010 2000 1990 Pre-Affordable Care Act Pre-Affordable Care Act House Senate ECA 2010 ACA signed into law 2010 ACA signed into law 2010 ACA signed into law 10% 18% 19% projected 051015 20% uninsured 2026 2020 2010 2000 1990 House Senate ECA 10% 18% 19% Pre-Affordable Care Act Pre-Affordable Care Act 2010 ACA signed into law 2010 ACA signed into law 2010 ACA signed into law Projected note: chart shows the percentage of U.S. residents under 65 who lack health insurance. Data from 1990 to 2016 come from the National Center for Health Statistics. Projections for 2017 to 2026 come from the Congressional Budget Office. Cuts to Medicaid spendings totaled $834 billion in the House legislation. The new Senate legislation would likely include a large spending cut as well. Expanded Medicaid coverage would cease and the funding structure would change in both bills. Under the Affordable Care Act, the federal government and states share the cost of insuring the poor. The amount of money that Washington gives each state varies depending on how much medical care that state's Medicaid patients receive. The federal government is picking up almost the entire cost of expanding Medicaid coverage to low-income adults without children in the 30 states, and the District of Columbia, that have chosen to expand their programs under the GOP proposal. Updated Senate version will replace current Medicaid with a fixed per capita cap or block grant. Each state would have a fixed amount of money every year. That amount would increase annually by a percentage linked to the inflation rate, though the rate would be lower than in the House bill, meaning deeper cuts. Provides $45 billion to states to combat the opioid addiction epidemic, an increase from $2 billion for 1 year in the previous version. House version: a fixed per capita cap or block grant would replace the decades-old current system. Each state would have a fixed amount of money every year. That amount would increase annually by a percentage linked to the inflation rate. The additional federal funding that covered expanding Medicaid would be eliminated by 2020. AKIMACTRINJDEMDDCYMTCONMSNDMNEA ILMIKYOPAWVNYVT in LAROR and VCA AKIMACTRINJDEMDDCWVYMTCONMSNDMNEA ILMIKYOPANYVT in LAROR and VCA. The House and Senate GOP healthcare bills would make major changes to health insurance markets, reducing requirements on health plans and changing the structure of financial subsidies that the current law provides to low and moderate-income Americans. Those changes would make health plans less expensive, on average, for some consumers, according to the Congressional Budget Office. But older and lower-income Americans would see their insurance premiums soar under the GOP plans. The updated version of the Senate healthcare bill includes an amendment crafted by Sens. Ted Cruz, R. Texas, and Mike Lee, R. Utah, which would allow insurers to provide lower-cost, stripped-down insurance plans, as long as they offer one plan that meets Obamacare standards. Experts and moderates warn that such a provision could cause premiums to soar for sicker people if healthy people move to the cheaper options. Note: figures for the House bill are for states that do not seek waivers from the federal government to further weaken Obamacare insurance regulations, an option provided by the House legislation. Under the Affordable Care Act, people using healthcare marketplaces and making less than $48,000 a year receive subsidies to help them buy insurance. The amount of the subsidy is tied to a person's income and to the cost of insurance in the person's area. The subsidies are automatically applied to the consumer.